needs the 49ers to make their pick right now. Who do you think they're going to go?
I would think either Eric Armstead, the defensive lineman from Oregon, whose upside is amazing, or a wide receiver we mentioned, Rashad Perryman. I think they'll wait to get that inside linebacker in the second or third round.
And there's the draft party in the spot where this season's going to wind up, Santa Clara, California, for Super Bowl 50, the golden anniversary of the Super Bowl, as hosted by the San Francisco 49ers, turning the page on the Jim Harbaugh era. It is, as we all know, Trent Baalke's ship to run. There is Jed York with his back to the screen in the sweater vest. So much on the line there for Jim Tomsula, now the head coach. Everybody having to put their faith in that brain trust after having put it in the Jim Harbaugh brain trust for so long. Everybody wondering what the Niners are going to look like moving forward. Are they rebuilding? What are they going to do here? And after the 49ers are done, it's the Chiefs. It's your neck of the woods, sir. I want to give you the floor on what the 49ers nation is thinking about right now.
Well, I think the big thing, you want an impact player. You got to have an impact player. You saw a lot of guys walk out the door in free agency. So some guys retire, some guys move on, some guys not get re-signed. You're looking for somebody that's going to come in and make an impact. It doesn't matter if it's offense, defense. They got a lot of places where they're young and they're going to need something. They're going to need some juice, a pass rusher, one of these guys that maybe falling down the board, a receiver, of course, for another young quarterback that they're trying to help to get more stable. He needs more weapons. So this pick could go anywhere.
And again, the trade particulars. They swapped. It's a fourth rounder this year and a fifth rounder next year, just to move up 2 spaces in the first round. Just give you an idea of just how expensive it was probably for anybody to attempt to go up to 2, no matter from where they were on the draft board. If just to move up 2 spots in the first round costs you a 4th this year and a 5th next year. Steve Mariucci.
Well, that shows you how much San Diego values that running back, Melvin Gordon.
Yes. Here's the commissioner.
With the 17th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Eric Armstead, defensive end, Oregon.
6'7", 292 pounds. He's barely 21 years old. His length and his power are both amazing. He's a Mammoth 5 technique. That means a defensive end in a 3-4. He's raw, but has an exciting upside. Take a look at this kid. Sometimes when he plays with leverage and gets under people, he's so heavy-handed, it's unbelievable. I saw him take your guy Andre's feet and get under him a couple times. I don't even know if he knows what he's doing yet, Coach. He's so young and he's so inexperienced, but when it looks good, look at that move right there. 292 pounds, swim move.
He's a lot like Andrew Speed. When he plays high, he's too high. When he plays low, he's dominant. That's just who he is.
When he stays low and drops those hips and explodes, it's special.
Well, as far as size at that position, they got it.
Think about him, boom, 6'7", 292 pounds. He's got huge hands. He's a gifted athlete. You think about a guy who could be a really good player in the NFL once he's coached up and puts it all together. He's late coming off the ball. You would have liked to have seen some offsides penalties against this kid at the collegiate level, John. You talk about if he's cut loose, if he's coached up, freakish talent, former basketball player, even at Oregon, redshirted as a basketball player at Oregon in 2012. But his sack total, 2.5 last year, 1 in 2013, half a sack in 2012. When you're that gifted, you should be getting double-digit sacks, and because of, I think, poor technique and fundamentals, he wasn't able to.
Well, you have to question how much he loves football. He'll have to prove that. He's only been 1 year of true production. He just doesn't make enough impact plays. He doesn't close the deal. He looks like a one-speed run defender to me. I want to see him get with Justin Smith, learn how to play like a San Francisco 49er and utilize all this God-given talent he has.
Yeah, not just Justin Smith, but Darnell Dockett, too, guys who play with a great motor. And you're absolutely right. When you turn on the film with him, if you watch this, the last series, the fourth quarter of the national championship game, this kid plays the 4 technique the way you draw it up. I mean, he's making plays and whipping everybody along the Ohio State offensive line. He's got to do it consistently. And that's what the difference is when you start getting down into these spots now. Guys show the potential. It's a matter of consistency. Can San Francisco get it out of them?
We're rolling. We're at
the Auditorium Theater here in Chicago. It's fun.
You're gonna make your fortune by and by. The only game you know is do or die.
Welcome back. These are the new black jerseys for the San Francisco 49ers. Des Bryant gave it his Twitter stamp of approval. Hashtag swag, although that means that's stuff we all get. I have not gotten one of these. So maybe I have the wrong terminology of what swag is. There's Jim Tom Sula at the top of the screen in the Honda War Room. Trent Baalke taking notes.
So, Rich, stupid, sick means good?
I guess it does.
Is that the deal?
Yes, stupid sick does, in fact.
Right on target, my man.
Let's go to the stage right now. The commissioner is with a very, very bad man who's going into Canton this summer.
To announce the San Francisco 49ers selection, please welcome from James Madison University, a fourth-round draft pick in 1986 by the San Francisco 49ers, defensive end and newest member of the Hall of Fame, Charles Haley.
With the 46th pick in the 2015 draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Jaworski Tartt, defensive back, Samford.
Wow, they went safety with Jaworski Tartt from Samford. Showed up at the Senior Bowl with an attitude. 6'1½", 221 pounds. He's a big body thumper. I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for, but the questions are, what is his coverage skill set? But the one thing I do know about this young man is when he arrives, Charles Davis, he's in a bad humor.
Yeah, we've got a big fight coming up on Saturday night, and Jaworski Tartt would love to go into the ring and thump with anyone that's there. This is what we see. Part of what we saw last year was a guy operating injured. Had a bad ankle that he played on most of the year. You want to have some fun? Punch up his film. 2013 at Arkansas. Those hits you saw in the highlights, a whole bunch of thumping there. He also played well this year, I thought, against TCU at TCU. This is a big-time athlete that we got to see operate at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. And Coach Strong, you'd love to have this missile going back and forth in your defense.
Well, you love him because he's an in-the-box safety, and he can come down, and then also he has enough range where you can put him in the middle of the field. But it's always you're looking for that special player, and what's really great about him is that you don't have to pull him out in a sub package. He can still play on the hash for you and have enough depth to him, enough range where he can go cover deep.
And what I like about this, Mike, is you don't have to say Schwenke as much now. You can say Jaworski.
There you go.
You like those names.
Very well done.
Channeling the inner Cortland Finnegan, the pick a few years ago out of Sanford, a small school in Alabama. Jaworski Tartt, the safety who didn't play football until his senior year in high school, blossomed there, twice becoming an FCS All-American at safety. Off the board this quickly, Valentine.
Well, he's 6'1" and change, 218 pounds. He ran a 4.47 when you go back to his pro day workout after running a 4.53 at the combine. He's got size, he's got speed, small school guy. The tape was interesting to watch. They played him all around. I thought he was really good versus the run. He attacks the line of scrimmage, drops the hammer versus the run, and I like the versatility that he brings because you're in a lot of sub packages, Trent.
Exactly. Sub package versatility for the 49ers. 4 solid safeties on the roster now. Love that Tartt was coached by a guy he played against for years, Sam Shade. Great coach in the secondary at Sanford. This guy has a high football IQ, good instincts, range to play high or low, and the size to play in the box, and has some subgroup value like we talked about.
When he was in high school, he had to play behind future draftee Jimmy Ward. And then, of course, he's the 4th overall player from Sanford drafted since 1970. Cortland Finnegan in the 7th round in 2006, and Corey White, the 5th round in 2012 to the Saints.
Eric Armstead out of Oregon, and then Jaworski
With the
Tartt.
79th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Eli Harold, linebacker, Virginia.
Eli Harold at 6'3", 247. I'm surprised he's lasted this long. He's a natural 3-4 outside linebacker, which fits in with what Eric Mangini wants to do. Ability to bend and flatten to the quarterback. Very surprised he lasted this long.
And the 49ers trying to replenish the linebacking core. They've had guys with injuries, guys retired, the whole deal. Eli Harold makes a perfect fit for them, able to come off the edge and play with his hand in the ground, some at Virginia as well.
Yeah, all three of their picks have been on defense. You went Armstead, Tart, and Harold.
So many issues on defense. They go Eli Harold, Mel, the defensive end outside linebacker from Virginia.
Probably see splash plays with Eli Harold. I think there was also some games where he was a little too quiet for my liking. He did have 7 sacks this past year, 8.5 2 seasons ago. His best games in 2014, Louisville with a couple sacks, Kent State, and the Duke game, he's 6'3", 247, had a great 10-yard time. I look at him and you look at his 3-cone, better than Dante Fowler Jr. With all that ability, I would have liked to see more domination, but the splash plays and the talent lend itself to maybe a guy who could move on, have some success.
My former head coach at University of Richmond, who now is with the Iowa Hawkeyes, had him earlier in his career at the University of Virginia, and he wound up moving on. And I thought early in his career he was developing very well. He loves, Jim Reed loves this guy, loves the ability, thinks he can translate to the next level. Just when you look at him on tape, I don't know that he consistently got better. So in San Francisco, can they develop him? And if they do develop him properly, they may have a steal. I had him with an 88 grade, which is an early second-round grade. Had him as one of the best 35 players in this draft. And now San Francisco gets him at, 79 overall.
Right. Well, it's interesting you say the word steal. Chris Long of the Rams just texted me. He also said the word steal. Here's the problem for Eli that he may have to overcome. He calls Chris Long a mentor. And that's kind of an issue. Chris, we're kidding. We love you. Eli says they play Xbox together all the time. And to be fair, he says Chris Long beats him all the time. So, Chris, it's okay if you beat him in Xbox. We'll see if Eli Harold can. They're going to play each other now a couple of times a year in the NFC West. We'll see how Chris Long and Eli Harold get along when they're opposing each other between the Niners and the Rams a couple times a year.
Chicago, there it is. I mean, imagine that's your keepsake.
That's awesome. I mean, that's just absolutely awesome. Just think about how they treat the Stanley Cup. Right. And this is a city that knows about the Lombardi Trophy and the Stanley Cup. I love that they're treating the Lombardi Trophy the same way.
Awesome stuff here. Beautiful day here in Chicago. The 1 o'clock in the East, noon right here in Chicago. Rich Eisen along with Mike Mayock and Daniel Jeremiah and Charles Davis. And the place where the latest Lombardi Trophy is going to be handed out. You saw the 50 behind it because it's the golden anniversary of the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 50 is in Santa Clara, California. Everybody here is hoping the picks they make will help them get there and win the Lombardi Trophy. Moments ago, the Niners pick announced by Kenny Chesney, everybody.
He's a football fan.
Presenting the pick for the San Francisco 49ers is 4 consecutive time Academy of Country Music and 4-time Country Music Association Entertainer of the Year, Kenny Chesney. Tonight, Kenny will headline the first ever concert at Levi's Stadium as part of his The Big Revival 2015 tour. Kenny?
Yeah. Oh, it's my turn?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Well, with the 18th pick of the 4th round, number 117 overall, the San Francisco 49ers select Blake Bell, tight end from Oklahoma. Yeah. Congratulations, Blake.
The Belldozer. Blake Bell, former quarterback, 6'6", 252 pounds. This is a very poor tight end class. And the closer we got, the more intriguing he became because there aren't that many guys with his height, weight, speed at the position this year. So he's an intriguing conversion. I followed him around in the East-West game. I know he catches the football well and he's an athlete. I wanted to see if he had any hip snap as a blocker, and I think that's what he's going to have to learn how to do. That's the part of the position that's foreign to him. And I want to say one other thing to Kenny Chesney, who is a great football fan.
Yeah.
My Thursday night football partner, Brad Nessler.
Yes.
They're very close friends. And we're working with Ness's daughter right now on the set. Little synchronicity here. Kenny
like that.
Chesney, remember what he did with Condridge Holloway?
Yes.
He did a special. It was really kind of
called
cool.
The Color Orange.
Yeah,
he did a black quarterback in the SEC.
Did a great job with that, I thought.
Yeah, without a doubt.
One thing that's interesting.
Bell.
One thing interesting about Blake Bell, guys. Remember when Tebow signed with the Eagles?
I've heard of that.
And all the talk was the conversion could move up a yard.
Right.
Well, what Tim Tebow does, I'd say the Belldozer does it even a little bit better. He did it in college before he switched to tight end. If that conversion gets moved up, maybe he gets used in that role as well.
Dave's a bowl game MVP for actually running the football and scoring a lot of touchdowns. Remember, his dad was a tight end in the NFL. He ought to be able to get a lot of work at home and getting that done.
Belldozer.
Oh, Blake Bell started out as a quarterback the first 3 years, Bill.
Yes, he was a quarterback the first 3 years at Oklahoma. Played in short yardage and goal line. He is a machine running the ball in that situation. He's powerful. Here he comes on the read option. Look at him go. He's got shake and bake. He's got power. And one of the reasons they took him, he was moved to tight end later on this past season. One of the reasons they took him is because the two-point conversion is going to be much more apropos, much more used in the NFL. He's tremendous in that role right there in the read option and the goal line and short yardage.
Potentially like Tim Tebow with the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's exactly right.
Although, from what I'm hearing, I'm not sure Tim Tebow's going to be around when this all with us.
Conceptually,
Chip Kelly had that in mind when he signed him.
No question, and we'll find out what the two-point conversion is going to be coming up at the owners' meetings in May, because they didn't come to a resolution on it at the owners' meetings in March. By the way, Blake Bell has great bloodlines. His father, Mark, and his uncle, Mike, twins, both played in the NFL. Mark played 6 seasons as a defensive end. His uncle Mike played 12 seasons. You were there when he was in Kansas City.
I'm old.
Well, I wasn't going to tell you anything. By the way, I'm catching up to you quickly, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. Lots of going on here as we continue to cover the draft. What else do you like about Blake Bell?
I think his intangibles are off the charts. And when I first watched him, I actually had his game against Tulsa early in the season. And I think it was the second game he had played at tight end. And I thought to myself, this isn't going to work. Hadn't seen him the rest of the season outside of maybe a little bit on television, put in the tape. By the end of the year, he had developed into an adequate pass-catching tight end and a pretty darn good blocker for a guy who was playing quarterback. And that has everything to do with effort, commitment to the change, and just pure toughness. I think that's what you get with Bell, a guy that's going to give you everything that he has. And if it's good enough, great. If not, then he'll move on.
Well, he plays a role on special teams. He plays a role on short yardage goal line. He plays a role as a third tight end. Good blocker, tough guy. There's a room for him on a team.
I thought he showed promise as a tight end. For a kid who was just thrown in there, 16 catches, I thought he's not Mark Bavaro blocking, but I thought he showed the ability to maybe in the NFL, once you get a year or two more experience and get him into weight. Remember, he's a quarterback. He's going to get a lot stronger at 6'6" and a quarter, 252 pounds. Good hands, very good athlete with a 33 vertical. You develop him. You use him, as Bill said, special teams. You think about the ability with the two-point conversion. This kid has a willingness and a desire to get better, and I think as a tight end, don't write him off.
To that willingness and desire, this was his idea. He went to Bob Stoops and said, hey, maybe I should think about playing tight end. He saw the writing on the wall at quarterback, wanted to get on the field. You love that attitude in a guy who had to change positions that late in his collegiate career. Coming in fast and furious in round 4. Another running back off the board. Mike Davis goes from South Carolina to the 49ers.
I like this pick because Mike Davis, if you go back and study him in 2013, was one of the best backs in college football. He was wearing down some of the best defenses in the nation in the SEC. He had over 1,100 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns in 2013. He got injured at the end of the season, and there was a lot of concern when you talked to scouts that went in and did the work about how he ate, his conditioning, his training, and the fact that he really at the beginning of this past season was not in football shape. He let his body get too big. He was sluggish, but as the season progressed, he got better in that regard. So now you draft him as a 4th rounder. There's nothing to lose. He catches the ball very well for a big guy. Like I said, he wears down defenses with more and more touches. He can come in now, compete with Carlos Hyde. They brought in Reggie Bush. They've got Kendall Hunter. I like the competition part of this pick for the San Francisco 49ers.
Steve Spurrier back, so he knows the passing game. He knows routes. He can step right in. In addition to which, he really has great running instincts. He can make you miss. The time was poor. You'd like it to be better. That's why he's in the 4th round. But he's got great running instincts.
He had a lingering injury. That was the rib injury that really hurt him this past season. 66 receptions the last 2 years, Bill. Speaks to what you discussed about the receiving ability coming out of the backfield. Mike Davis is healthy, which he was not this past year. He's a good all-around back.
Not too long ago, the 49ers took a chance with Marcus Lattimore out of South Carolina. He, of course, had to retire. Mike Davis came out a year earlier than I think a lot of people thought he might, but his motivations were pure. He grew up in a very, very destitute and crime-ridden area called Bankhead, just located west of downtown Atlanta. Trouble was never far away. In fact, his brother was drafted by the Cleveland Browns a couple of years ago in the 6th round. James Davis gave $25,000 to move his mom away from that situation into a much better neighborhood, but his mother recently got evicted. And Mike Davis was getting all kinds of things on Twitter and email. Why are you leaving early? You should be staying at school. He's doing it because his mother is out on the street, and he's hoping this 4th round money will help get her into a better place and a better home. So his motivation is pure. Mike Davis getting out and coming out early to get enough money to get his mother in a better situation, and we certainly wish nothing but the best for Mike and his mother as they go forward.
Outdoor day at the draft way back in the end of round 4. DeAndre Smelter out of Georgia Tech was selected by the 49ers in a compensatory pick. Michael, you have the floor.
Well, this is a guy I think that DJ really liked, and I liked him also. A baseball player with great hands and toughness, DJ.
No, I love what he does, Mike. I think it's ironic he goes to the San Francisco 49ers because after the catch, he reminds me of Anquan Bolden, just with his competitiveness.
I agree.
I checked off 4 special stiff arms for a wide receiver, which you don't see that when you're watching a bunch of wide receivers after each other. He's ultra competitive. He tore his ACL late in the season. I think that's one of the reasons why he slid, or he would have been long gone. But he's a very interesting player for the Niners.
And at the top of round number 5, Atlanta coughed up a 6th round choice to trade up 9 spots with Minnesota to choose first in this round.
Pressure up the middle. They know they've got to protect the interior.
And that's 3 guys there in this round.
That's exactly it. So now DeAndre Smelter from Georgia Tech, the next pick, another Georgia Tech guy. Really intriguing choice by San Francisco. This is a smart pick. Here's why. He's 6'2", 227 pounds with massive hands. This guy's got big mitts, 11 and 8 inch and 33-inch arms. He's underdeveloped in that system. But when you go back and watch the tape this last year, he's a much better receiver than everyone who was hyping up Darren Waller, the vertical guy. 20.4 yards per catch, and there's developmental upside. So he goes to a San Francisco team that has Anquan Bolden, who's one of the great students of the game and understands the angles and will help coach this guy up. And Anquan Bolden's no spring chicken, so they're going to try to develop him to play that role down the line and get some early production from him in the sub package. I think Smelter has a chance to develop in 2-3 years from now. Could be a really good player.
And Bill, nobody. In the trade, you think about Trent Baalke. Nobody takes more injured players and will either redshirt them or wait until they get back, take a chance in round 4. That's what he's doing here with DeAndre Smelter.
Congratulations, San Francisco 49ers. You are a forward-thinking organization.
You know where we're going.
Jed York, Trent Baalke, you understand people. And you understand, yes, Bradley Pinion out of Clemson is a person too. And a punter has just been drafted 165th overall in San Francisco.
You got a chance to work with him. If he doesn't, it's an uphill struggle.
Next off the board, Trent Brown out of Florida goes to San Francisco, Todd.
This is a big boy, 6'8 and a half.
355 pounds. At the Senior Bowl, he was 6'8.5" still, but he was 376 pounds. He lost 21 pounds between the Senior Bowl and the Combine, and you'd like to see him probably lose 15, 20 more pounds to get the mobility. You look at him here, for a massive guy, he doesn't have terrible movement skills, but he can't play on an island. I think he's better suited to play in at guard. He's a solid, strong run blocker, has some toughness. You know, you got the size here and the length, 35.5-inch arms, but he's got a lot of work to do in terms of his footwork, and I think, again, taking off some weight will be very important for him. San Francisco drafts him at 244 overall.
San Francisco has just taken the tight end Rory Busta Anderson out of South Carolina. His problem has been busting those triceps the last couple of years.
And I love how we went with Busta in all caps, too. It's the only way to spell it.
Be who you are.
He is I mean, I guess we'll call him a tight end. He's really a wide receiver. I mean, who they move around and utilize Steve Spurrier's offense. He lines up in line on occasion, but he doesn't block a whole lot. He's a guy, as you see here, he works a lot of drag routes. He does a decent job of getting off the line of scrimmage if he's not pressed and kind of getting into his routes. But you can get physical with him. And he was inconsistent when I studied tape in terms of his ball skills. I really thought he was up and down catching the football, Mel.
I would agree. I think he does, you know, you think about where he graded out as an undrafted free agent. Here he almost goes undrafted. 254th pick to the San Francisco 49ers. Say, hey, Marcus Colston made it as almost the end of the draft. But in Anderson's case, I think he's a long shot. Has some skills, but as you said, he never played consistently to the level of the talent.
He's an athletic tight end, and he has the skills to be that. His problem is that as an athletic tight end, you got to catch the ball about 95% of the time.
Right.
And he does.
That wasn't the case. And over the middle especially, that's where you saw a lot of the drops.